Hello, everyone. This is Albert Espinoza back again for week 5, month of October, for MPA 510, History and Theory of Public Administration, for Dr. Sundstrom's class at Cal Baptist University. And this week we'll be talking about theories and theorists of the 1960s. A quick overview of this week's presentation will cover my thoughts and opinions on the new way of looking at government and organizations from theorists and theories of the 1960s, and how they compare and contrast to early theories and theorists from the founding of our country through the 1950s. Two theorists from the 1960s I want to start off with are Daniel Kotz and Robert Kahn, and the reading from this week of Organizations and the System Concept. This was a good read. It takes what Mary Parker Follett and Chester Bernard's original theories and thoughts of human components and some of the behind the scenes aspects of things, and takes it to another level where these two theories are more about how organizations or people are influenced by their environment and their settings, and how you want to have more of a system, an open systems approach, where individuals are mentored, trained, provided feedback, and empowered to make decisions from different approaches, and that there isn't just one way to do things. That there's actually several ways to do things, and to get from point A to point B. It's not always that linear straight line. There's many ways to solve problems, and then work together to have the freedom to perform your duties to the best of your abilities in a somewhat dynamic, fluid setting. And this is completely different to what Frederick Taylor's scientific management and thinking about linear structure, linear thinking, and then divisions of tasks by people. And if you really read this reading, it's kind of funny how they actually take a jab at scientific management, and I found that funny because they're highlighting on Mary Parker Follett and Chester Bernard's theories, the human component. On top of this, now more of an open systems approach to things. So it's not so much scientific management, but yeah, if you read it carefully, they got little hints and jabs at Frederick Taylor and his early theories of scientific management, which I found pretty amusing. The next theorist and theory I want to talk about is by Morton Grodzin's The American System. And I like how he talks about the chaos of the American government, and how things have changed. The original ideas of federalism, where and I have the cakes, layer cake federalism, where there was this nice division between the national, state, and local governments that you can see the hierarchy, and they really didn't work together, and it was pretty separated. But it seems like here in the 1960s, they were starting to talk about, working together, and they came up with the marble cake federalism, which is cooperative federalism, where, the national, state, and local levels are actually working together in this cooperative approach, where you see a handshake between the state of Texas and the national government. So there's this new idea and approach of government working together, as opposed to the early theories of federalism, where there's this division of power, and the national government doesn't meddle in state and local affairs. But this new approach is actually interesting because it seems like in the 1960s, this is what the government was working towards, setting new standards and new approaches for national, state, and local governments to work together. And this is something that was pretty new to people, I'm sure, back in the days. But this is what government's about, to serve the people at all levels. It's been quite interesting, from the first week to this week, reading about the different theories and theorists, and how the evolution of government has influenced how theorists see things and view things during their times. You think from the early beginnings, when the United States was, becoming a country, they created the Constitution. Talks about the separation of power, federalism, and they were doing this because they didn't want to be ruled by one leader or a monarch, which they were getting away from the British. And fast forward through Frederick Taylor's time, his influence was the Industrial Revolution. So a lot of his theories are structured, methodical, machine-like, and again science-driven because his times was the Industrial Revolution, and that's what he was brought up with. Fast forward to the 1960s, the country is dealing with things like the Cuban Missile Crisis. There's the civil rights movement. People should be coming together as opposed to being separated. John F. Kennedy talked about putting a man on the moon, and in order to accomplish all these things, people needed to come together in a collaboration. Amongst all this crazy chaos that was going around in the country in the 1960s. So, reading Daniel Kotz and Robert Kahn's and Eric Godson's theories of the 60s, you can see why they were thinking that way, based on what was going around during that decade and the influences that had them write their theories during that time. I hope you enjoyed this week's presentation, and I hope to get some comments and feedback, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you, and have a great one. Bye.